Started. Welcome to summer, everybody. Roll call, Steve Whitman's here, Eugene Thurston, Rebecca Hansen, Bill Bolton, Chris Buckley, myself, and Brian Murphy. Before we get started, I'd like to, on behalf of the board, congratulate Rebecca on the completion of her master's degree. We watched her defend it. Yeah. Okay, and throughout this evening's festivities, if you're going to speak, we'd like you to come up and speak at the microphone. We have been unable to get good audio quality from people just speaking in the audience, so if you could do that, that would be very helpful. Before we go on to the agenda, Bill is going to tell us about some changes in the in town government that affects the planning board.
So you'll see a new person sitting at our desk, actually new old, it's Brian Murphy. And Sharon Penny no longer works for the town. We reorganized our office and we combined positions. And now Brian is going to be assuming the duties of both offices. And his new title is Land Use and Planning Director. And it was basically a cost savings measure. You've probably seen your tax bills. We're trying to keep the taxes low while making sure that we can meet our services. So anyway, congratulations, Brian.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, any public comments unrelated to the agenda tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to the first item, which is the continuation of PID 207-001.
Mr. Chairman.
This is the Fairgrounds Road subdivision. We received a document. Yes,
One of our minutes, sir.
we're going to do the minutes last.
Oh, okay, fine.
We received a document from Mr. Priebus, and I'd like the board to, we just received this today, so I'd like the board to take 5 minutes to read through this, and then we'll continue.
Point of order, procedural question. We were here in April last, and I believe that the April hearing, you cut off public input, and then we continued. So I think we're walking in today in the continuation of that meeting, meaning there's no public input unless you allow it. And you have several choices as to what that means. And one choice is to decide to make a decision on the evidence you had by April, the evidence you had and the site visit following that particular hearing. That's one way you can do it. The other way would be to reopen the hearing tonight for public input based upon the issues which arose during the site visit. Any observations, any wetlands reports, things of that sort, but make it not open season yet again. And the last thing you can do is open up entirely to hear that motion and to take in other evidence too. And frankly, if you're allowing that 8-page memo of law to be filed tonight and to be accepted and argued tonight into the record, we have a problem because frankly, I got my copy about 5 o'clock today. I was up north all day on my cell phone, I happened to see a blurb, I couldn't even open it, couldn't read it. I read it slightly about half an hour ago.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you for a second here. I think what we'd like to do tonight is assemble what facts we do have. I agree the document arrived with little notice.
Right.
But I want to take 5 minutes now while we're all here so we can read it. We want to report on the site visit. We want to report from Mr. Hahn on where the promised wetland study is or is not. And after that, we'll consider what we're going to do next.
That's great, but before that memo is addressed, I'd like a chance to address that too. In other words, we need 30 days to respond to that. You may want to talk to town council too.
That's fine. We'll come to that later.
That's fine. I just want to make it clear that I'm not waiving any arguments or rights in that memo. I just saw that this afternoon barely.
That's fine.
Thank you.
All right, so 5 minutes from now, unless you guys are really fast readers. Okay, I think we're ready to get started again. Tom, could you, you have your big sheet, your plan sheet? If you could just start off by just revisiting what we did on our walk, the route we took. There are a couple people here that were not on the site walk, so. This is good.
That was what was submitted, right? Or is it?
No, it's got the enhanced wetlands area and stuff.
Tom, can you hang one of these up on the board possibly? Gonna stay? Probably not, huh?
I think it's ridiculous.
Wedge something in there, or, there we go.
You know, like we just review.
Yeah, review this,
where we walked?
yeah, where we walked, and, because Steve and Jean were not able to attend.
Doesn't have the lines, elevations.
We need some tape or something.
Mr. Murphy. Mr. Murphy. You may want to get another one of those.
Very
We
good.
always had that problem.
Oh, Yeah.
Okay, so at the site visit, what we did is we had met on Fairgrounds Road down here. We walked up the proposed route of driveway number 3, all the way through out to the existing road. We walked up the road a little ways to a brook crossing about in here. We came back down and we walked a route on the east side of the large wetland area and came down to the next wetland here, that deep gully. Then we came back out to the road, walked up the existing road, and walked this trail out and around the north side of the wetlands to the east of the existing road, and made a loop around all the way out to driveway number 1. And you mentioned that you had, the week previously, you'd gone over that with the wetland scientist, is that correct?
Correct.
And did she prepare a summary
She
document
did.
for us?
Yep.
Thank you. The color version is the page. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to read this out loud for the benefit of the folks in the audience, and then we'll ask some questions. So, dear Mr. Rhodes, on April 28th of 2017, I met with Tom Hahn from Forco LLC on the site located on Fairground Road, Plymouth, New Hampshire. The reason for our visit was to review the potential driveway sites for this property. We walked along the northwest side of the property along the path of the proposed drive number 3, which is K3 on the conceptual map that has been provided to the board. This area has several large areas of wetlands and areas of high water table. This is not an area that's suitable for the construction of a driveway. The owner would need to obtain wetlands permits from the DES Wetlands Bureau. The NHDES Wetland Bureau will not approve a wetlands crossing when there is an alternate location for access or driveway with less wetlands impact. We then walked down along proposed driveway K2. This area has one large wetland that would need to be permitted from the NHDES Wetlands Bureau. There are small areas with a high water table, but this is a better alternative than driveway K3. The best option would be to grant an easement on the existing access roadway. This roadway is known as K1 or driveway number 2 on the subdivision plan. The proposed driveway location of G1, this is driveway number 1 on the subdivision plan, would work if it can meet the town of Plymouth roadway requirements. The G1 driveway location should be located outside of any wetlands that may be present in the field. I hope this will help when making your decision on the proposed access to the back land. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call. Sincerely, Deborah Hines, Hines Septic System Design Services. Tom, just a question here. Where's G1?
I don't know if you have the copies of the so-called Exhibit A.
Oh, G1's on the other side.
G1 is,
Okay,
yes, yeah,
right,
so it's driveway number 1 on the subdivision plan.
Okay. Does anybody on the board have any questions from Tom about this report?
I do. Did they do a species inventory, or this was just strictly assessing
Or did they
if
do,
wetlands were present?
did they do delineation?
Well, I mean, because there could be some, I guess I'm thinking up the road at Quincy Bog, which isn't far away, it seems like there's a viable population of spotted turtles, threatened species in the state, species of concern. That shrub swampland we went by is like prime habitat for those guys.
Yeah, so no so-called, natural resource inventory, or that type of thing was done. Her initial job was to delineate the wetlands. We had come to the board with a conceptual, or for an informational meeting, and the board had requested that wetlands be delineated from driveway number 1 west and just a narrow strip east of driveway number 2, the existing road. So those were delineated by the wetland scientists, but no natural resource inventory was done.
Any other questions from the board? Well, I can chip in some thoughts from my view of the site walk. We had a large crowd of people, I don't know, 20, probably 20 people that braved the swamp there. We did walk around the left side along the boundary. It was, in my opinion, extremely wet. The return trip on K2 was much drier. And I think there are 4 possible things we could do with a subdivision. We could either approve it or disapprove it as it stands now, or we can look at ways to minimize impact on those wetlands and improve access to the back lot. Now, I know Chris had talked about using the existing road as a right-of-way as being a preferential solution. Since the road's there, the impact's already done. We know that the parties are not amenable to that. We tried that the last meeting or the one before that. Another option would be to move 3 of the corners of the lot, which would enable the front lot, and I'm just going to come point this out. So it seems, from my point of view, that the parties tried to do is divide it up fairly so that each received equal value. And to that extent, the front lot is smaller, but it has road frontage, and that road frontage is valuable. The back lot is bigger. The front lot may have some potential for subdivision houses over there at some point in the future. These 3 points, I don't know if those are labeled, but if these 2 were moved that way, to enable enough space there to put a logging road to access the back lot, and this point or this point was subsequently moved out, so there would be no change in acreage for the parties. So that's a possibility. Move 3 points, keep the acreage the same, keep the road frontage the same, avoid this big wetland, and take that drier route, which is not the first choice of the wetland scientist, but rather her second choice. So it would come basically skirt here and come out at the proposed driveway entrance that we entered on. So that's a possibility. So use the existing road, move those 3 pins, or lastly, grant a right-of-way across this corner and don't move the pins. So that seems to me that those are the 3 options that we can look at. And then to take comments from the board on their opinions on those 2 solutions.
Can I ask a question of the board first? just because I'm new on the board relatively, what is the extent of our responsibility to protect the wetlands in our town? As a-
Well, the
planning
master
board?
plan calls out that it is our responsibility, at least to minimize the impact on wetlands. And if there's no choice in access, then, wetlands can be mitigated or crossed. But I think, in my opinion, there's at least 3 other choices here that are viable.
And we do have, regarding driveway 1, that's totally discounted, correct? I think that's a non-starter. That's deeper into the, it's, we require right-of-way, and then you'd avoid completely the wetlands. But I guess that's an option.
Is driveway 1 somehow connected to what we're discussing here?
Yeah. No, we came down here around the wetlands and came down, exiting driveway 1. Could you verify that, the fact that we,
I know we did that, but was that, is that 'cause an alternate route, or is that for another project, a subdivision, a development of some sort?
No, it's an existing driveway with a NHDOT driveway permit, so we just showed it so the board could see the bigger picture to show what access there is to the 50-acre lot that's being subdivided.
Okay, so at this point, I think we need to recognize the fact that this memorandum of law was presented at the last moment, and the other party needs a chance to respond to that. My druthers would be to continue this for another month and have the parties come up with one of those 3 solutions among themselves. And you can respond to this at the same time, and we can have another go at it. That's my opinion. Anyone else want to chime in on that?
I would agree.
Okay, now, regarding a public hearing tonight, we have some new things in evidence. I don't really want to get into arguing the points of this document tonight, but I would like to give people an opportunity to speak on these new issues, the wetland scientist reports perhaps, if they would like. I'm hoping not to, go over too much of the ground we've already covered in the previous 2 public hearings. So I'm going to open this now. Are there any abutters here that would like to speak about this project? Okay, was there any of the parties that would like to speak at this time about the project?
Good evening, everyone. Bill Priebus on behalf of Dennis Gerard and Florence Leduc. I have some comments made. It might make more sense, though, because apparently there's going to be further submission with respect to some of these issues that it might cover, to make those comments at such time that everything's been submitted.
I think that's, if it has to do with this document, yes, I think we should wait.
It has somewhat to do with the document, but it has also to do, and I'd be remiss if I did not say this. I apologize for filing this in the fashion that I did, but I did want to see what the wetland scientists had to say before I finished this document, and I didn't get a draft of that report until late last night. So that's the reason for the quote last minute filing. So I appreciate everyone considering that. And I do want to comment on this document, the wetland scientist report, and the view as well. But it makes more sense to me, and I hope the board agrees, that it would be better to do it at the next meeting, just before deliberations, if that's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak regarding this application at this time? Okay, in that case, we're going to close the public hearing. I didn't give you a time to open it, but it's 5 of 7. Public hearing is closed. And I would like to see a motion to continue this application to a date certain, which would be anyone have the date? That'd be June.
Here, does this help?
That would help.
Just a little.
22nd.
Okay, so June 5th.
22nd. Oh, to the, oh, okay.
So to June 15th. So I would like a motion to continue this to date certain to June 15th. And I would like the parties to seriously consider those 3 options. If you come back right now where we are, it's going to be trouble. So please get together and talk about that. So anyway, to get the motion that I need here, let's see. I need a motion to move this application to June 15th and ask that the parties consider one of 3 options: using the existing logging road, moving 3 of the property corners to maintain the balance of acreage and road frontage, but allowing passage of the logging road to the east of the major wetland, or 3, granting a right-of-way that accomplishes the same thing. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do you have that, Brian?
Yes, I do. Motion to continue to a date certain, which is 6/15/17. The 3 scenarios, the existing road. Is that driveway number 2, Mr. Chairman? The existing,
Driveway number 2, that's correct.
or move property corners to balance the acreage and create a bridge, a land bridge through, essentially. Or number 3, to just grant an easement across a portion of the daughter lot there.
Okay, that's correct. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Okay, so we're continued for a month. Thanks, folks.
Steve, can I have my sheet back, or I'll miss meetings?
I would never.
Put you on the gavel there for a second.
Yeah.
Give me that gavel.
Okay. Number B. Alex Ray. And Mr. French.
Good guy tonight.
Get buried here. Okay, this is an expansion of use application, EID 230006. So the first thing we're gonna do is to consider whether or not this application is complete, and vote on that, and then we're gonna get into the details. Brian, did you have a chance to look and see if there were any red flags here in completeness?
No, I did not. This was came to me in a package, so I can only assume, probably wrongly, that it is complete.
Okay, I don't see any requests for, waivers.
Yeah,
We want to get that word out.
it's supposed to be a waiver for height.
They did get a variance from the ZBA.
Okay.
As far as the application goes, I don't, you guys don't have any waivers in the application itself, right? Okay.
We did get a variance from the ZBA on the height.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think so. I haven't seen it yet.
All right, any questions from the
I saw
board
it beside.
on the completeness of this application?
Make a motion to accept it as complete.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Okay, Kevin.
Okay, first thing I'd like to do is, Ben Downing would like to videotape some of this, because he's he's kind of doing a start to finish history of this project as it goes along, so he just wanted to let you know that he'd be doing that.
Okay.
So, and I think we went over this a little bit last month, just as an informational type thing, but just to go over it again. Right now, this is the Italian farmhouse, and as right now, Alex uses the greenhouse for the function. He's purchased a barn in Canterbury that has quite a history, and he's taken it down, disassembled it, and wants to reassemble it on the property in this location. When this is completed, the greenhouse will cease to function as a function hall. He may keep it there for something, but it won't be a function hall. And basically, it's going to add about 125 seats to the existing capacity of the function hall now. This is about 125, and the new barn will have about 250. We'll be able to have 250. And basically, like I said, basically what they're trying to do is just take this building and use that to replace this one. We would add some parking, which I've shown down on the bottom, kind of in a light blue. Kind of separated off a little bit as function parking, so that they could do both. They could run both venues, the restaurant and the function hall at the same time. They didn't want to have the parking lot full with function things, and then people think the restaurant is full nonstop. So, and basically, what they're going to do is they would just a few things. We're going to run power from the existing utility pole here, have a pole on site, and then would go underground across the parking lot to the building. There is, presently the dumpster's located here. We'd move that. There's a propane tank for this building, which would be buried. They'd also have another propane tank for this building, which would be buried out back. We would obviously have a new septic system for this building, and at the time we're doing that, we're going to reevaluate the existing system for the present restaurant. And the only thing that what we've added, I added just kind of a treatment swale on the edge of the driveway. This is going to remain gravel, but we'll just have a swale in there because we are increasing the parking a little bit. And just so you know, Alex owns this lot, which is about 12.5 acres, and this is about 9.5. This property right here, which was McDonald's, he just purchased that, I don't know, a year or so ago. So now he owns both parcels. And right now, what we're really interested in doing is just being able to get started on some of the site work, because there is some ledge in that area, and we may have to just shift that a little bit as we go forward.
You, tell us,
and-
oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry, and like, well, this is the building, and like they said, the building itself is 47 feet tall, so we did get a variance from the zoning board on the height, although the two top floors aren't unoccupied. And these are building plans, if anybody look at them. Get to the- open it up. Sheet A21 kind of shows the profiles of what it would look like.
Kevin, could you show us what the current drainage situation is and runoff and the new, what's going to change?
On presently what it is?
Yeah, what it is now and how it's going to change with the
Yeah,
new-
presently, like I said, this is gravel, and as it is now, it kind of sheet flows just across the parking lot and into the grass area adjacent to it. We would just put in a little stone swale just to slow it down and give it some, just direct it a little bit and have it so that it didn't, in fact, even when it's in heavy rains, it hasn't caused any wash in the way it is now. But that would treat it and hold it so it didn't go, so it didn't increase the rate of flow going on. And like I said, most of this area is already parking. We would be adding the required, well, actually a few more than required for that building.
And there are no wetlands on the development area, is that correct?
No, there are some up here, but none that we're involved in.
Okay.
Thankfully.
The existing parking will remain gravel.
Yeah.
So Steve, I know I mentioned this last time, but regarding the Intervale Cemetery, will there be any different access to that cemetery, or or it'll just go down the existing right-of-way to?
Well, I believe the existing access to it now is this road
Right.
down through there.
Yeah.
There been no mention of changing that or anything.
Yeah, because that's a steep little, thing to go down, and, yes, sir.
Alex?
Alex Ray from Holderness, the owner of the property. In answer to that question, that's a pretty poor driveway, the one you're talking about, the so-called easement to the down toward the river. That is steep and it's on a curve, and we have put a cut through from the McDonald property to the for bringing in our barn pieces, to tell you the truth. But that may be also a better access for people going to the cemetery. It's not exactly a big crowd that goes to the cemetery, but that driveway is awful, frankly, and I think that I'd like to eliminate it entirely, because it's, in every way it's bad. It's uphill, you have to stop, and it's curved, and
So-
line of sight's bad.
It's probably not a discussion for this, but so how would you propose getting to the cemetery? Assuming there's be town trucks.
We've cut a swath through there just for us, and the people, it's just a existing thing, so we might be able to
Okay,
address it. It certainly would be better than what's there now without a lot of work. That's
right.
Yeah, right now, there's like a cut through the woods right in like here, because right now, the barn is actually sitting on this lot in pieces.
So does the town need access to?
Yep, They, cut the brush and stuff and
Maintenance.
maintain the fences and,
So you don't see any problems with it, discontinuing the road?
no, I think it would be a better solution than what currently is,
Okay.
down there.
Another question about parking, because I don't think there's anything in the zoning ordinance that specifically addresses parking for this type of development. I guess I'm just wondering why 40 spaces is,
Pardon me?
I'm just wondering why 40 spaces, is that for the number of additional parking spaces?
The 40?
Yeah.
It's actually, the increase is 125, and it's a 3-to-1 ratio, so it's 32 cars extra for the code ratio, 3-to-1. 3 people to 1, so 125 equals 31 or 32 cars, and that's what the plan depicts more. I didn't know there was a 40 anywhere.
There's 40 additional spaces on the plan here.
We actually had more on the existing one than was required for the restaurant, as it was.
Okay.
But we actually were over on the counts that we needed, but it made sense to have extra.
Okay, thank you.
And there's no change in access from Route 3, so it's
There's no one?
no change in access from Route 3?
No, no.
No curb cut changes, no.
No.
They're both sort of. Oh, by the way, we have 2 curb cuts, north and south, I guess you call them, or
Right.
east and west, I don't know.
Any other questions from the board at this time? See none, I'd like to open a public hearing on this project. It is about 12 after 7. Are there any abutters here that would like to speak?
I'm Frank Miller, butter, and I'm here to speak in favor of and support of this development. I believe it'd be in keeping with the town's master plan for maintaining the use of an existing structure, adding a character in the neighborhood, with the addition of this historic structure, which I believe is in keeping with the state's plan for maintaining repair of historic structures along with the town's plan and our master plan. And I believe it would be a balanced, compatible companion to the existing use and the existing structure. And for this type of function, I believe our parking ordinance talks about not less than 125% of the minimum required parking spaces. So the 40 isn't a bad number. And I stand in support of and hope to have this approved. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Okay, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this project? Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition or in a neutral way about this project? Seeing none, we're going to close the public hearing at 7:15. Back to the board for any further questions. No questions? Do I have a motion from someone?
I would make a motion to approve as submitted.
Second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Pulling teeth.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of approving this site application as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. You guys are good to go. Start blasting. Gosh. Oh, the hamster wheel.
If that's, yeah, I mean, if there's anything that's gonna be
You didn't need
changed
to.
throughout.
We're gonna submit that.
This anyway? All right, so okay. Well, actually,
I'll hang on to a couple more items tonight, or?
all right, Jeff, thanks.
And I'd like to keep it rolling on the same.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give the fire department the structurals as well, maybe I can keep them, so.
Okay,
You want these two?
Well, I got this one.
moving on to
Another copy?
number C.
Okay, great.
Boundary line adjustment. David Sanborn, this is PID 214006, and you guys have the application in front of you. Let's want to look through that and see. Oh, it's you again.
Yeah.
Efficient.
See you one more time tonight after this, too.
Any questions or comments from the board on the completeness of this application for a boundary line adjustment? Seeing no questions, do I have a motion to approve, to accept it as the application?
Complete.
Yep.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Hey, Kevin, you want to give us the rundown?
Yeah, this is the property out on the traffic circle, owned by Mr. Sambrin, and where the Last Share Restaurant is. And at this time, he's acquiring 1.6 acres from the Fullers, who own the 55-acre parcel to the south of them. And it's just a boundary line adjustment, just adding this rectangular piece onto his. Line with the wall will remain, obviously, but the boundary line will go away. And he's just doing it because he thinks he might need a little more parking.
This is rumor, I'm not,
We've heard that,
I'm
yeah.
not sure, but.
So Kevin, is this, the land he's acquiring, is that from a previous subdivision?
What's that?
Is the land he's acquiring from a previous subdivision?
No, actually, this is the Fuller tract, which is
Right.
55 acre, 55 acre piece.
Right,
And the lot that he bought was an existing acre lot, originally. And then, so all he's doing is just, they're taking off of this 1.6 acre lot, 210 feet on the road, and it goes back about 300, and just adding it to his present lot.
okay, so just do one.
Yeah, this will all be one lot. It'll all be the same tax map number when it's done. It'll go from, right now, this is 1.05 acres, so then it'll be 2.65.
Any questions from the board?
That corner, which corner? The northeast, doesn't go to the highway then, right?
What's that?
I'm looking at the,
Up here? Or here?
I think he means down the road.
yeah, move down.
Right
That
here?
one right there, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not on the road, right? Or is it?
This is on the road.
Okay.
Yeah, he
It
is.
it looked like it was hanging out there for some reason, but,
Okay.
That's the old drawing.
You
I
got an
believe.
old drawing. Originally, they had talked about, they wanted to keep the frontage. So they were going to come back with kind of a pie-shaped thing. But then they decided not to do that. So now they're just giving up frontage, although this doesn't have a curb cut. It'll be the same curb cut as what he has there now.
okay.
Yeah.
The intent is not to approach another curb cut, correct, or a line of sight type thing?
No,
Okay.
I don't ever want to go through that again.
Okay.
This is just confusion about this process. confused why this went right to boundary line adjustment instead of subdivision and then boundary line adjustment.
Well, the reason this is just a boundary line adjustment is because we're not creating any new lots. There's presently two. One's 1 acre and this one's 55, and when we're done, this is 2.6 and 53. But we haven't increased the number of lots.
All right, gotcha, that makes sense, thank you.
Steve?
Yes.
So I have more of a, I guess, a comment. In all due respect to my fellow planning board members, I wasn't part of the site plan before, and I don't think that this is a situation that necessarily highlights limitations of our site plan, but maybe the fact that site plan alone can't anticipate the popularity of any place. And so I think what's happened at the last chair, it's been really successful. It's kind of what we want to see in the town, and the fact that Dave and the abutter were able to work out a deal to get the land to kind of address some of those issues before they become a problem just seems, it seems like we're fortunate that the business can remain and can expand and better address some of the site limitations, because it's a really tight site with all those things going on. So, yeah, I just wanted to point that out.
I feel extremely fortunate that she's willing to do that. Like, really fortunate.
Yeah, because otherwise you're kind of hemmed in.
Yeah.
Yeah, other questions from the board about this before I open it for a public hearing? Bill?
On the old map, on probably the new one too, there's like a circled area of, I guess, stone wall removal.
Oh, right here?
So, yeah.
No, that's not moving.
Boulder.
That's just a bowl. It's a big bowl.
That is a
in the wall.
huge boulder.
This is Boulder on it, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say
Big boulder.
Let's say boulder here.
I can
talking the
swear
big
to I can swear to the
Big
board right
crane
now, I
edition.
am not moving that rock.
Well, if we designated that you shall move that rock to increase your parking.
Yeah.
No.
Out of business.
So, is the intent to, make a couple of breaks in the wall or remove the wall, or what?
I definitely don't want to remove the wall, but definitely open up a section between the restaurant, kind of in the boulder.
The storage
So
units.
Yeah, so we can
Probably
come
right
in.
through.
Yeah, okay.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
to make more parking.
okay.
Paved? It'll be paved.
No.
No, just dirt.
No, yeah.
And do you anticipate, obviously not using that whole thing for parking?
Yeah, not right now. No. Definitely not right now. It's not in the budget.
Other plans?
Well, we all have big plans, but whether they'll come true, we have no idea. I mean, obviously, we'd like to eventually, maybe have the opportunity to add on to it, but, I mean, we're 9 months old.
And so that would alleviate the setback issues. It would all be internal to the lot, but it would trigger a site plan, right?
Yes.
So Dave would be back at that point, or a future owner would be back.
Other comments or questions from the board? Okay, at this time I'd like to open the public hearing at 7:24. Are there any abutters that would like to speak about this project? Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this project?
Come on down, Frank.
Well, I spoke to the original project, and it was a good idea then, and it's still a good idea. And I believe this application complies with all the intent and purpose of our specifications of our zoning ordinance, planning, land use regulations, and I believe it would be very appropriate to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Anyone else that would like to speak about this project? Seeing none, we're going to close the public hearing at 7:25. Back to the board. Any further questions? Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
To do,
Just keep it vague.
okay, do I have a second for that?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Good to go.
Excellent, thank you. All right, thanks, everybody. You too, Ryan.
You're welcome, David.
Okay, D, boundary line adjustment from Release O'Connor, 2013 trust. This is
Thank you.
PID 243001 and 230002. Request for an acreage adjustment between the lots by owner Release O'Connor. Properties are located at 2029 and 1031 Texas Hill Road in the agricultural zone. People can take a look at the application for completeness. You've got your money.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board on the completeness of this application? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve this application as complete?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Hey, Kevin, you want to walk us through it?
Yeah, this is two lots that Mary Lee owns out on Texas Hill Road, and just the history of this a little bit. This was originally divided back, I think, in the 90s, late 80s, 90s, somewhere in there, and this lot that we're dividing off was built by the building trades. In fact, it was their subdivision, so to speak. So at the time, what they did was to keep things at 10 and 11 acres. They had kind of a strange lot configuration that went like this and up like that, and this area was all part of this lot. And then this area that I've shaded in kind of cross-section bank here was the other lot. One was 11 and one was 10 and a half. And then, since then, Mel has acquired both of them, and she has her house here. I think your mother was living in this one for a while. At this time, she'd like to just divide this lot, the front lot, off with its own frontage and as it exists, and then take the remaining land and just put it all back in with her piece in the back. So right now, it's, like I said, 10 and a half acres and 11, and when we're done, this lot would be an acre and a half, and her lot would be about 20 acres. And it would kind of put the backland back together again.
Sort of a correction.
Once more on the existing.
Okay. What exists today is this line that goes, as they are today, this is, the lot runs like this.
It's a 25-foot right-of-way,
Here,
long and narrow.
Like that.
that's
Yeah,
from the
that's
old map.
front lot. And then this is the other lot.
Good representation the way it was carved.
It's easier to visualize with the old map, Steve.
Okay.
The original intent, as described to me by the people who owned it before I did, was to provide a wood lot for both parcels. And that's how they did it. Eventually my neighbor wanted to sell his property, and I wanted to correct that little spaghetti strip and co-join the property. And if, I don't know if anybody remembers Connie Rhines, but she served on the planning board for a long time, and she said to me, after I bought it, she said, "We never should have approved that." So I actually feel, I mean, I'm creating a parcel out of the thing, but I feel good about co-joining, if that's the right word, joining that land back together again.
There doesn't happen to be any wetlands along that driveway, are there? Or
What's that? Yeah, there is a little bit, but when I
Existing driveway.
right here, and it misses actually there's a culvert that crosses right there, right before it, so.
Perhaps we can do a wetland study. I'm kidding, Mel.
The good part about it is we're getting rid of most of that, that's going with this lot, so.
I mean, it just seems like the most bizarre configuration before, and it's an overall just such a correction for the existing and future homeowners.
And you still get to maintain a kind of an oddly shaped lot, so it's.
Yeah, it's still kind of awkward back there.
Well, it kind of looks like a pistol.
This actually was part of,
Does now.
Doesn't it?
It was originally Haney Land, which, you know, that's an old family name in Plymouth. And the Haneys sold that 5-acre parcel to some folks, again, before I got involved. And so that's the configuration they were left with. And as Kevin said, it belonged, the Student Building Trades Trust purchased it and did that, so.
Just a point of interest, so what's the Building Trades Trust? Or what's the
Oh, I'm
Building
sorry.
Trades?
I forgot you're new.
I'm only 65, Mel, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so some of you might remember a guy named Norm LeBlanc, who was a teacher at the high school. He coached skiing also. He led a vocational program for years, and they built, I want to say, when my house was built in the back, they had, I think that was their 5th house and their 8th building. So every year he'd get a new group of kids, and you know, it would take him 2 years to build the one out in front, 2 years to build mine, and different sets of kids, and they'd go out in the morning and come back at 11 or noon time and go back out in the afternoon. And he built, they built the superintendent's building originally, you know, the small one before they added on to it. And Mike Guinan's house, and they built, I think they built the visitor center at exit, yeah, exit 28?
Yeah, it's a 28.
28,
yeah.
and I forget the rest, but.
There's quite a few homes in town that were built by them.
Yeah.
The one across from us, the Northrop's old house.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Northrops, and there's one up in, where, I forget the name of it.
Like Ash Hill or something.
Ash Hill, thank you, yeah, exactly. And because he was a teacher and that was a school program, they needed a, to answer your question, they needed a real estate arm. So they had 3 trustees, and one was active, Alan McNeil, he was sort of the trustee. And he did all the buying and selling and providing financing so they could borrow, build the houses and then sell them. And I guess they don't do it anymore. But it was a great
Actually,
program.
was it Ross?
Gene.
Yeah, he had students that strapped my house.
Afterwards, that's right.
Yep, he was the last, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where Dan Cherleglio came out of that
Oh,
program.
did he?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
really? Wow. I
Did a
didn't
good
know
job
that.
with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kids had a lot of pride in what they did. They used to come and bring their girlfriends and parents over to see the house after I moved in. And they used to come, this is way off topic, but they used to come parking because my driveway's so long. And I'd get these strange cars, the headlights would dim. And it was just the kids, so I didn't worry, but I had to stop that.
Any more questions from the board? Do I have a motion to approve the property line adjustment?
Approve as presented. I
Approve
made
as
a motion
presented.
to do that.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think the work you do is the most important work in any town. Just want to thank you.
Excuse me, I think the selectmen actually do the most important. I beg to differ.
Or are they district administrators?
Oh, that's true.
I have experience with both. I think the planning
Thanks.
is very important in the community. So thank you.
Okay, last but not least, we have some minutes here.
And you know we're neighbors, right, Mel? 790 over by the house that burnt down. We're right next to that. On the other end of before Cummings Hill Road. Though. Yeah, I want to talk to you sometime. Yeah. I see you every once in a while, okay.
We don't want to be.
We have a Mylar? Okay. Are we owed one?
What's that?
Are we
So
owed
am I.
one?
I still
Yes.
have a landline, same
Yes.
number I've had forever. We bill.
One for now, and
Yeah.
the others want to bring the Mylar, or?
Yeah, I don't, one I'm gonna keep permanently in the property record. Well, actually, we'll end up with two, so why don't you just do it all when you come back?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Great. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah. Okay.
You had a rough night tonight.
Yeah.
3 in a row.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Under intense scrutiny.
You know, see how good you feel? Yes, yes,
Yes.
all right, we're gonna go do this backwards. May 10th,
No, I just.
10.
sidewalk minutes.
That's the easy one.
Going through all of these, I notice I'm pretty good at making motions to adjourn. I must always be in a hurry to get out. I think I did every one.
When you break into motion, yeah, it's a good one. Makes you popular.
I get a motion to adjourn? I move to adjourn.
Not yet. Wow, we're at least 2 hours ahead of schedule.
Move to approve the minutes of the May 10th site walk.
Second.
All right,
Received
all
it like
those-
4 days ago.
Are there any objections to approving the minutes as written for May 10th? All right, those are approved. April 20th,
Bill, last name? is
Bill, last name?
Bill Priebus.
Oh, right.
Yeah. P-R-I-B, I don't know, it's in the long letter, or the memorandum.
Right.
And I just had a comment about the Kevin French and Alex Ray section.
Hang on a second. So, Brian, are you with us on the first page?
Trying to catch up. We're on the 20th?
20th,
First,
Bill
Bottom
Priebus,
paragraph.
his
Second.
last
Oh,
name
okay,
needs to be
Priebus,
filled in.
right.
And the next page.
top of the, yeah.
Okay.
And then what was, Gene, what was your comment?
Well, it's talking about the greenhouse. It says he would like to discontinue the use of the greenhouse as a dining space, and then comma, will not use it as an actual greenhouse to grow plants and vegetables, but I thought it should be will now use it. That was sort of the,
Yeah. He said he
Yeah,
said he
that's a
was planning on,
possibility,
yeah.
Right. We don't want to prohibit him from.
Thou shalt not grow vegetables.
And on the top of that same page, he's, the end of the last sentence in the first paragraph, he suggests going by the Leduc property. That's Leduc, right? Or is there, yeah, okay. I like that name, but.
just another typo thing in that similar area. It says his client wants to move the right of way elsewhere because he does not like logging trucks moving past his property.
All right, no S.
Oh,
Fourth paragraph on the second page, second line.
okay, because it's also referenced further up where it says logging trucks drive by. But that's where it threw me off. Okay.
I make a motion to approve these minutes as amended.
Second.
Okay, if there are no objections, they are so approved. April 6th,
Under, sorry,
I did not actually give my resignation, so. Reports of my death were premature.
You gonna address her colleague?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Third bullet point under new business, her colleague is Maggie Mumford.
Yeah, that's funny. because it says you resigned and then we nominated you for chair.
Yeah, right. That's how we reward people. who resign.
Would you like to
show
change that
you-
to notice of
You
impending
quit.
or future? Or strike it entirely?
Which one?
You giving your resignation. You want to reword that?
I'll be leaving sometime this summer, but that's, you never know. Bill told me I couldn't leave, so
Okay.
giving that serious consideration.
Let's sweeten the deal for him so he stays.
Put you on the ZBA, too.
My goal is to make sure that the Fairgrounds Road subdivision is inherited by my successor.
And who's that?
It's just awful.
Wow, setting them up. Nobody's going to volunteer now, Steve.
All right, so anything else on these minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of April 6th as amended.
Second?
Second.
We're good, we're done. Any comments from the public before we say goodnight?
Yes.
Who seconded that, Chris?
Or someone else might have disapproved, resubmit 90 days for final disapproval. We're not going to let you go.
Ooh.
Nice. It's a good meeting.
Can I just ask a question about this letter from Deborah Hines?
Sure.
If we approve this as it is, I mean, it seems like the Wetlands Bureau is not going to approve that new road anyway, right? So they have to figure it out after that, correct? Or
It's her conjecture. You know,
Right.
But it's unlikely that they'll approve something with so many wetlands that they have to work around.
If there's an alternative.
right.
So if we approve it as it's submitted, there's no alternative, and then they can probably get the road. The question is, do we want to approve it as submitted or not? And I think we all have our opinions on it.
And that kind of hoses the people who will inherit having to build a road. And I
Exactly.
mean, that's like, they have useless properties.
Passes the problem down to the next potential landowner. Or
Yeah, there's no reason why they can't achieve something with the three options that they have.
I thought you laid that out really nicely.
Considering that the main objection to it would be an imbalance in the court-ordered subdivision, as long as the acreage balanced out, I don't know that it would make any difference unless there was some particular feature they were trying to
Right.
maintain back there, but I didn't see anything there either.
Yeah, that's my opinion. So I'm hoping that, this, I was kind of, surprised at the tenor of the legal memorandum,
Sure.
to be honest.
Right.
And I don't think that's going to achieve what they're hoping to achieve. Any other comments before we say goodnight?
I do have a few things in rework session stuff. I'm still trying to get my feet wet or dry or whatever one does with one's feet. Concerning, how to get things up to you guys at the work session to consider, whether it needs posting or that. So I'll just read back through previous things. But what we need to do, coming up pretty quick, is to get our heads together on the conditional use permit. So I have some ideas that I'll present to you at the work session of the first or second. If you guys think about what you might want to see, considering the discussions you had about it. But basically, it's kind of a bigger magnifying glass than a building permit, but it doesn't rise to the level of site plan review.
The checklist format.
Exactly. There would be no abutter notification because it's all, it doesn't fall under that chapter, it being that it's by right. And, just things along that line. And, you guys can tear it all apart if you'd like. I mean, it was just kind of throwing stuff at the wall and writing it down as it came into my mind, so.
What would the conditional use permit apply to? What aspect of our regs?
Oh, only to the accessory dwelling units.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But it's the first time we're using
Yes,
a conditional
yes,
use permit,
indeed.
so we have to get those procedures.
And my idea on that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is we can write them for any particular thing that we need to have done with that, and they could mention different things and have different impacts.
I believe that's true.
Okay.
And then we have one kind of permit or application that serves all conditional use?
Yes,
permits
yes,
that
and it
gets
would be
completed?
very, very simple. We'll try not to keep the admin costs down. Since there's no notification, that it's going to be a little bit cheaper, $5 a head on that one. And, obviously, the applicants are doing this to, kind of save money, and it's not as big of a project as you folks normally see. I mean, if it wasn't for the conditional use permit aspect of it, it would just be regular business for me on my day-to-day. So, but it's making you aware, and because there's certain things that we require. One would be, that not only the owner occupation, but the upgrading of parking facilities, which is a little bit different than the rest of it.
What I really like about that as a tool for a planning board too is it speaks to the regulation, to the conditions of the community, and it keeps it at the planning board as opposed to sending an applicant back and forth between the ZBA and planning board where they have to start all over, talk to a whole other set of people and get some aspect of the picture. It keeps it all here so you get a more comprehensive view and you can show your work, and it's a good tool.
And we have Tara next meeting too.
Yes, she'll be first, so if there's any time left over, we can look at that. But I would like to have you guys start considering what you might like to see, and I'll go ahead and email you my ideas.
Okay.
Just, like I said, you can just pick them apart if you like.
Great.
I have a motion to adjourn.
You choked!
Okay, adjourn.
I think that's my job.
Mr. Chair, who was the